Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sahara Omar. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing here in the state of Texas. And today's video is a video that was requested on more tools regarding emotional regulation techniques. When we talk about emotions in general, we do want to kind of recognize a couple of things. One, it is important to label our emotions correctly and recognize what are we feeling and is it appropriate to the experience that we are experiencing. I did make a video on how to label our emotions, so I highly encourage you guys to go back and watch that video. And then there's another component to emotions, which is how do I regulate my emotions when I'm experiencing so much stress and I'm not able to come out of that state. These are techniques that I personally share with my clients in therapy and kind of walk through it with them and figure out ways that they can incorporate some of these techniques in their personal journey outside of the therapy room. My number one recommendation always is go to therapy. Find you a therapist that you really like, that you're able to work with and break down some of these techniques with. Just relying on emotional regulation alone or just relying on labeling our emotions is not healing. It's not wholeness. The goal is to get to that level in life where you are calm and regulated consistently and not just constantly going back to what is the tool that I need to have. That's a little bit more superficial work, so I encourage you guys to prioritize that deeper work as well too. Okay, we'll start with sensory grounding technique. Sensory grounding techniques, the one that we really like is drinking cold water or holding ice in both hands. Ice in general and cold in general has consistently shown in the research that it disrupts your nervous system and it pulls you out of the fight, freeze, flee response into a more parasympathetic nervous system, more resting and digesting when there is an actual threat in our life, right? And it's very fast-paced. So if you're like in a meeting, for example, at work, and you're feeling dysregulated by one of your colleagues and what they're saying, or if you're feeling like overwhelmed by an interaction that you're having with another person, just taking a sip of cold water or washing your face, go to the bathroom, wash your face with cold water, that will snap you back into reality in general. Another technique that I really like is the rhythmic movement technique in general, like walking, dancing, even rocking back and forth. I notice, for example, when I work with clients and they are expressing something really horrible that they've been through, I usually rock my head back and forth like in a nodding motion, or a way that I might even sway my shoulders back and forth for a little bit, like just like gentle rocking, like the way we rock babies. Because it is overwhelming, right? Like when you're hearing somebody else's personal experience. Dancing is really effective as well too, just moving your body in general. We really recommend, for example, also like working out consistently. That's you moving your body in general. Movement helps us just stay connected to reality and not constantly, it's kind of like snapping out of reality into a state that is just emotionally overwhelming for us. So kind of explore what speaks to you when it comes down to rhythmic movement. Another technique that I like personally also is self-soothing techniques. These are ways that when we're babies, for example, babies are really good at self-soothing. They grab their legs, for example, they rock back and forth. They rely a little bit more on their like pacifier or their bottle, like milk bottle. Other times they rely on like a blanket or favorite toy. These are ways that we're self-soothing, right? So hugging yourself, placing your hand over your heart, tapping, either tapping on your right leg or your left leg. Those are ways that you're also calming your nervous system down to remind you like, hey, I am here, I am okay. Okay. Make sure those with tapping in general or self-soothing techniques, make sure that it is gentle towards your body. We don't want to tap excessively to a point where you are bruising yourself as well too. So there is a limit there to hold on to and be aware of. All right. And then the last technique, this is really helpful for anyone who struggles with a lot of depression as well, outside of just the anxiety. When we are depressed, typically we're locked or we're locking ourselves at home, a little bit more isolation there. We do want something called pattern disruption techniques, right? So ways that we can just shift our pattern that we're stuck in internally. So doing something unexpected to break that emotional spiral, right? So like jumping up and down in your room or your living room, for example, singing out loud. It's beautiful to witness people just kind of be free in that space of just like singing. It doesn't have to be you being like a professional singer and having the gift of singing. Just allowing yourself to express vocally will help you kind of come out of that state where we're spiraling on an emotional level. Humming, I've met a lot of people who are really comfortable with humming or whistling. Those are, in a way, you might consider them self-soothing technique, but humming goes usually under just pattern disruption because you are disrupting your normal pattern in general. Again, we don't want to do these things out of spite, just to piss people off as well too. But if we truly are dysregulated, make sure that you let people know like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I'm going to take a break. And as you step out of that space, go ahead and just hum, sing, whistle. It's up to you. And then another way that we can kind of step out of our normal just sitting doing nothing experience that we're having, journaling, or even changing the scenery, right? So journaling is most number one effective technique that we recommend in therapy in general, because you coming to a space where you are letting everything internally out on a paper. Sometimes some clients would say, I really like writing and then reading out loud what I was thinking. That's beautiful as well too, because now you're able to see how your brain is thinking internally. Sometimes other clients would say, no, I just like to journal and just move on, and that's also okay. So there is no right or wrong. That's not how we operate in therapy. We operate in a space of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So journaling is really good. And then also changing scenery. If you're stuck at home, let's say a couple of days, and you work from home and you're not getting out of your comfort zone, go on a walk, step out of the house for a little bit, even if it's you taking the trash out, even if you just go around the block. Sometimes some clients would say, I went to Target, I went to a grocery store. Yeah, absolutely. Just take that scenery walk, so that way you can remember, your brain can remember this is temporary, this emotional experience is temporary. Because sometimes the interesting piece that I want to leave with you guys is this. The human brain is so fascinating. Sometimes it cannot tell the difference between if this is permanent or temporary. And our experiences are mostly temporary. It's not permanent, right? So we want to kind of rely on some of these techniques so that way we can come out of that state of this is the end. And unfortunately, sometimes when we don't have these techniques, the brain will win, right? Like the brain will convince itself that this is the end. And that's what we want to avoid as we are healing in general. All right, I hope you guys liked the video. Feel free to comment. Also, make sure that you hit that like button so that way other people who are looking for these tools can find this video. And also, share it with other people too. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.